Okay, hello everyone. Thank you all for coming out today and joining us. So we are Sustainability Action Research, and we are super excited that you guys are here. We're gonna do a little presentation, and then at the end there'll be time for everyone to like ask any questions or clarify anything that you may have seen or heard. Um, so yeah, let's get started. So again, we're gonna have a little agenda. We're going to meet the directors. We're going to talk about who we are and what we do, what is in store for SAR this year as opposed to other past years, and some closing like statements. So we can begin by introducing our SAR director. Sam, you want to start us off?
Yeah, Hi everyone. My name is Sam. Yeah, I'm one of the program directors. My pronouns are he, they. I'm super excited to be program director for this year. I was a project lead last year, and I'm super excited to see all of the projects develop this year. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and hi y'all. I'm Grace. I'm the other program director for this year. Pronouns she, her. I am a third year environmental science major. And last year I was a team lead for the energy team, and I really just like loved the program and wanted to stay involved, but like see the program from a different angle. So that's why I applied to be director, and I'm super excited for this year, and I'm excited to get to know you all today.
And then, hello everyone. My name is Melissa Morales, and I am the communication director for this year. I also was involved in STAR, not last year, but previous year, and I was a member of the native plant nursery team. And I'm a fourth year geography and environmental studies major with a minor in GIS. And I just really love like all things like kind of like communication, how I like to get a message across. So that's kind of why like I joined back this year and took on this role. But I'm super excited. Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Ellie. I'm the marketing and media director for this year. I am a second year transfer and I'm a psych major with a minor in global health. And I applied to SAR because I feel like it goes hand in hand with my global health studies. And I wanted to do something that was impactful on campus while challenging myself to do something out of my major. So I'm really excited and we're gonna have a great year.
You want to take it away?
Okay, so if you are already familiar with SAR or if this is your first introduction to SAR, you're at the right place. So SAR, we are a student-initiated, student-designed, and student-facilitated research program. So how that looks on campus is that you will be placed into groups that are partnered with campus stakeholders, and you will be tackling big sustainability issues that are present on campus. The structure is going to look like Thursdays, 5 to 6 p.m. Weekly, and it's a great experience to network and meet people that are going to be like involved with research. So if that's something that you are interested in, this is definitely a place for you. Get out of class research, and you get meetings with these stakeholders one on one, and yeah.
So here are some logistics. It's a program overview of SAR. So it is a research cohort that spans a series of 20 weeks. So that includes winter and spring quarter. So if you choose to enroll, it would have to be like winter and spring. Um, and students can apply to be a leader or a member, which are designated as 185B and 185C courses. I think for the I forget the minor again. I think it's like environment and what is it? Society?
Systems and systems. Yeah.
Systems and society. Um, and so that does count. I know we get a lot of questions about this. So that does count for the major. I looked into it. You don't actually have to take both courses for it. Like you don't have to take 185C and 185B. It has to be 185A paired with 185B or with 185C. So you either choose to be a leader or a member, and that'll satisfy the major requirement if you were enrolled in 185A. which is sustainability talks. But regardless, even if you're not part of the minor, you do get upper division credit for the course. So yes, I'm not a minor. That's not my minor, but I did receive upper division course credit. So you either get 3 units as a leader or 2 units as a member over the course of winter and spring.
Right, so I didn't recognize any names here. I don't think any of y'all have been in SAR before, so you don't really have like a reference for what we did in past years, but this can still give you a good idea of like how our program's going to run this year. So as we mentioned, there are 6 different teams this year. And so normally we have 7 teams with 6 members, but this year we're going to make the teams 7 members instead, because some of the teams, which we'll go over in a minute, have like a little bit larger scope. So we wanted to make the teams just a little bit bigger so that we can divide the work a little bit more evenly. So that's 2 team leads and 5 members. Y'all are welcome to apply as a member or a lead, whichever one you're more comfortable with, but you don't need experience with SAR to apply as a team lead. I think that's a question we get a lot. So if you're interested in a lead, go for it, apply for that. We would love to see your application. So that's what the teams are looking like this year. And then for lectures, in the past, we've focused our lectures a little bit more on content, but this year we decided we wanted to put aside more time for the teams to work on their projects during class. So we'll have a lot of workshops and time for y'all to like ask questions about your project or different milestones, deliverables, just anything that you're working on with your project. There will be time during the class lectures to work on that. But we'll also be doing like professionality, like LinkedIn workshops. So like there will be like a personal development side to the lectures this year also. And then also a new thing is that we're doing interactive assignment deadlines. So what this means is in the past, we've had like stricter deadlines for when different reports and assignments are due. But this year, we're going to make these deadlines a little bit more flexible and more personalized to your specific team. So we'll make those assignment deadlines like individual to what you're trying to accomplish. Just so that you're not like rushing to finish, you know, like a class assignment at the same time that you have like a big, data collection assignment that you're working on for your stakeholders. So just a little bit more personal so that y'all aren't too overwhelmed with anything. Yeah, and then to go into some detail on the teams that we have this year. We have some really great stakeholders and really exciting teams. We do have a detailed list on our application, but if y'all haven't had a chance to read through those, we're going to give you a quick overview now. So the first is Health Waste Pilot Program. So this is working with our stakeholder, Noah Bidna, who is a great stakeholder. He's very engaging and personal. And last year, he was a first-time stakeholder, but his team absolutely loved him. He's a great person to work with. So UCLA Health is currently rolling out like a centralized waste pilot program. So the team will be calculating the portion of waste like before versus after the like centralized waste program is rolled out. So you'll be doing like a before and after analysis of this policy. So you'll be working with like departments within UCLA Health to help them calculate what their like waste diversion is. And then second, we have reusable container study. This one is with Brianna Moncada, another great stakeholder. I mean, they're all great. Like you cannot go wrong with any of our stakeholders. So the reusable container study will be looking at like reusable to-go containers, obviously on the Hill. So this one, it will be kind of up to the team and the stakeholder to work out like what aspects specifically you want to focus on. You have like a little bit of room here to figure out what you're most interested in. But it could be like a longevity study looking at like how long these reusable containers are like working for, how long they like stay intact. could be water usage study, because right now that's one of the things that's kind of holding UCLA Dining back from switching over to reusables is the concern about like using a lot of water in washing these reusable containers. So you could be looking at water usage, or you could look at cost benefit analysis alongside like the longevity and water usage study. And then our third team, we have plastic policy investigation. So this is with a first-time stakeholder, Christophe Lebel, who is in UCLA, like sustainability, the department. So you'll be looking at UCLA's single-use plastic policy and how effective it is. So what we're thinking, the scope for this one, y'all might be like auditing campus events, looking at whether or not they're following the current plastic policy that's set out by UCLA, how much waste there is and whether or not they're, following the standards that there should be following. Or you might be looking at like pre-existing data from purchasing groups. So like what different departments are ordering in terms of single-use plastics. So the goal here is to look at how much the plastic policy is being violated on campus, just by departments and for events. Yeah, and now I'll pass it over to Sam to go over the next few teams.
So yeah, our fourth team is actually a completely new team. There's been no precedent for this team really before within early care and education and sustainable gardening. So the stakeholder for this one is Tashawn McKeithen, and she's the director of the early care and education, executive director of early care and education, specifically looking at the curriculum. So this team kind of has a couple different components. There's some green spaces on the 3 early care and education garden centers. And basically they're trying to figure out how to implement a sustainable way to make these green spaces, both facilitating learning about sustainable food and sustainable growing methods, and also making those spaces themselves more sustainable as well. So it'll be your job to kind of look at these spaces and create a plan of how they can renovate these spaces. So it's a really exciting project. You'll also be working on curriculum and making sure that however you're changing these garden spaces helps the curriculum of early care education as well. Our fifth team is zero waste communication. So the primary stakeholder is Jade. She's the new zero waste coordinator. And then you'll have Jennifer Friedman as an advisor. And Jennifer Friedman works within marketing within UCLA Sustainability. So you're going to be doing kind of a literature review of past SAR teams, as well as an analysis of recent advertisement campaigns. A lot of like, think outside the landfill, think about that kind of messaging on campus. And you're going to look at how effective these have been for actual creating zero waste policy and also change on campus, particularly with waste sorting. So you might be doing informant interviews, and surveys, also focus groups, but then you're also going to test new educational material and communication styles. And then you're also going to present some new avenues that zero waste can go down. And then lastly, for soil health and sustainable landscaping, this is kind of a much bigger project. And so there's kind of a board of advisors for this project, but the primary stakeholder is Narit Katz, who is the Chief Officer of Sustainability here on campus. And so this team will work with UCLA Sustainability and UCLA Facilities Management to research soil restoration best practices and collect soil samples from different areas on campus. And basically what you're trying to look at is there's a bunch of native land conversions currently happening, and you're trying to see how effective those are on soil health, but also you're going to be looking at how can we change UCLA's landscaping plan to incorporate more native plants and kind of diversify the amount of native plants that they can use in their landscaping plan, which is really exciting. You're also going to be kind of advising future projects within UCLA landscaping to determine how best to treat the soil as well. So I think that's all of our 6 teams. So then we kind of just want to talk about some notable teams from the past couple years that are particularly relevant to some of the teams that will be going forward. So my team was the arts and architecture team, and we conducted an audit of materials used with supplemented with informant interviews and student surveys to understand resource acquisition and waste management within the School of Arts and Architecture. And then using that audit, we supplied digestible sustainability recommendations to the department. And the reason this one is really important is because it kind of gives, if you look into our research, it gives you kind of a baseline understanding of how UCLA sustainability works departmentalized. So it's a great resource, as well as the plastic policy implementation team. This will be particularly relevant for most of our waste diversion teams. And this team researched the logistics of the complete onset of the PPI program, particularly looking at the dishwashing capacity and incentivizing student participation. So their research was also a follow-up on the 2021 team, which looked at biodegradable utensils. Some other notable projects that SAR has done is there's also in parking structure 9, I believe, there's a water capture system that was developed and implemented by SAR members over the course of 3 years. So there's been a lot of change that has happened from SAR directly onto our campus. And it's like a continual process as well.
Okay, so if you guys weren't aware, applications are open and they will close this Friday, October 27th. So be sure to get that in. At the end, there is a QR code that you can scan to get the link will open up to our link tree, and that will direct you to our applications, both member and the leader positions. Going forward after that, around week 6 and 7 of fall quarter is when interviews will roll out. And then the decisions of remittance into SAR will be made by the 8th week of the fall quarter.
So here's our contact info. We have our email, our Instagram, our website if you guys want to check us out. And then our flyer that we've kind of been sharing around with our link tree QR code where you can just scan it. You can literally scan it and it'll take you right to the applications that we have. So it could be the leader or the member application. But yeah, like I said, I'll open up the floor for any questions that you guys may have or like concerns or anything you want to clear up.
Feel free to like raise your hand and go for it or drop it in the chat, like whatever you're comfortable with.
I have a question. So what is kind of the difference in responsibilities between the team leaders and the members? What would be the major differences in time commitment as well as responsibility on the tasks?
I can answer this one. So the biggest difference stakeholder in a bi-weekly meeting. Cutting out.
Yeah.
I think
Grace, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can go for it. Sorry, Sam. So yeah, I was a team lead. I was never a team member, but I did see like, a lot of like what my team members were doing. So I think what Sam started to say was the biggest difference is just that there are weekly meetings with the stakeholder that team leads have to go to. And it's optional for team members, it's encouraged. But this is like a roughly like 30 minutes to an hour that you're meeting with your stakeholder every week that you have to do if you're the team lead. There's also weekly team meetings that we encourage y'all to do. So that's for everybody, team leads and team members. And that, like, depending on the week, is normally about another hour or so. Again, depending like where you are in the project and like different assignments you have to do. But I'd say like an hour is like what my team was averaging throughout both quarters. And then so team leads, you kind of have to do more work to like prepare for those different meetings. So it is more of a time commitment for the meetings. And you're also, as a team lead, doing a lot of the like communicating with stakeholders and just other people throughout UCLA who you're like contacting. So you're the one doing primary communication. You're the one delegating tasks. You're the ones normally who are like running the meetings that you're having. And then as team members, basically, when it comes to the actual research, we expect the team leads and team members to divide that up evenly. So it's really just more of like the logistics that the team leads are doing.
Any more questions or comments? Like, we'd be glad to receive any of your comments.
Well, just kind of a follow-up to that. But so with the leadership positions, say I apply to a leadership position, but there are too many applicants and I'm unable to get that position, could I still be considered for a team member position?
Definitely. Yeah. No, if you aren't selected as a team lead, we will consider you like as a team member. Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, just to kind of re-emphasize, if you apply as a team lead, you are automatically considered for a team member. So please do not submit two different applications. Just submit one, either for the team member or team lead. Yeah.
I had a question as well. So for at the end of the spring quarter, are all the teams going to have to like present like a research paper or like a presentation? And like where would that take place?
So yes to both. Basically we have at the end of winter quarter and at the end of spring quarter, you have a paper and a presentation due. So for winter quarter, it's more of a like methods, like what you've done for like literature review and like how you're planning to do data collection in spring quarter. And then at the end of spring quarter, it's like a review of everything you've done. So both of these, like we facilitate through the class. We don't expect you to submit to like any external like research symposiums or anything. You're completely allowed to do that if you want to, but we do organize like a presentation time for all the teams and stakeholders and anybody else who's interested to join.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I was just wondering what exactly a centralized waste program is.
Yeah, so I can take this one again, Sam, because I don't know like how much your service is working. So this more just has to do with like dividing up like research, compost, landfill. So looking at like you know, when there's like one stream for all of it and like how much is getting diverted to the landfill after you like put in more strict guidelines for like what each of the streams will be, like compost, recycling, and landfill. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, I had another question. So I know that this is student led. So for the professors or for the advisors that are assigned to our teams, like what is their role in helping us?
Yeah, I can answer that. My connection's better now, I think. So well, we are student led, so like us four will be kind of like your lecturers almost, but we do have faculty advisors outside of like your stakeholders. I'll get to the stakeholders. That's like your main question, but something we forgot to mention is that Cully Nordby and Carl Medea are kind of like overall faculty advisors, so they'll be helping you. Cully specifically is like an associate director of IOES, so they'll be helping you, like kind of like if you have questions about how to create a survey or you want something to run by, you'll have to run it by both like us and our faculty advisors. And then your stakeholders will be mainly helping you kind of advise you on the direction of your project. So it ultimately comes down to you, like what you're researching, but they're going to give you kind of suggestions about where your direction should go. They're going to be your main point of contact to other people on campus. So for my team, like my stakeholder had to reach out to other people on campus for us to kind of give us more of a professional basis for our team. They'll also be reviewing all of your presentations, papers, and distributing them like after you do your research. So they're kind of like your main point of contact for your project and what needs to get done. And they'll help come up with your project scope and what they're expecting to come out of your project as well. And then I saw in the chat we got, what do the program leads do? And just a clarifying question, do you mean like the project leads for each individual teams?
Yes. I think I mixed up program and project.
Yeah, so project leads will, I think we kind of mentioned this already, but their main job is to be the liaison between the team and the stakeholder. They also have more of a say in kind of developing the project scope, but like ultimately final decisions on the project scope will come down to the team leads. So team members have a big part in developing that, but if there's conflict, if there's problems within the team leads are like the final decision makers. They also lead all of your team meetings that you're required to do every week, and they are required to meet with the stakeholder and none of the team members as well.
Okay, thank you. I also have another question. If you join a committee that you're interested in, but you don't really know much about the subject itself, are there any like resources or training that you do beforehand to like know more about the topic before you're like researching about it?
Yeah, so one of the assignments, so we don't expect you to know a ton about your thing. Like I did not know a lot about arts and architecture waste management when I first started. I'm an ecology major, so it's not my like main sort of focus. So one of your first assignments will actually be to do a literature review where you're required to look up literature related to your topic, whether that be past SAR teams or outside research, and write a review of that literature in a more like formal paper. And that'll be one of your first assignments. So you can gain kind of like a basis of your project. And kind of to emphasize what SAR does is we also kind of like help you through all the steps of project research and management. So like background knowledge, doing your like creating your methods, your data collection, and then presenting your knowledge. So all of that will be covered within the 2 week, like the 2 quarters of the class.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add on a little bit to that, I also knew nothing going into my energy project last year because like a lot of these projects are like very specific to what your stakeholder wants. So if there's anything that like is not common knowledge, your stakeholder like definitely will give you the information that you need to know. Like they will help you through it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Any last few lingering questions? I have another question.
Yeah.
What do you guys do like on the off times when it's not like winter or spring quarter? Is there any like, do you guys do any like more projects or do you just wait till the next like application cycle?
Yeah, so we have to, every year the projects are different. So like us as program leads, after the spring quarter ends, there's new like program directors, and we create the team scopes over the summer and then release them for fall. If you're asking more specifically about like what happens to the projects after we're done, it's going to be up to your stakeholder to distribute that project in that way. And a lot of times, and something that's really important to mention is for a couple of the teams, some of their members can even be hired on as interns into the specific departments. That's happened with a couple of teams. So there's definitely like stuff that happens after, but according to SAR, it's like outside of SAR, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I was also wondering because like I feel like 1 quarter seems like a very short amount of time for like a whole research project. but how would you meet the deadlines in such a short time? Or do you think it is enough time?
Yeah, so I can take this one. It is technically spread throughout both quarters. I think I said earlier that data collection was in spring quarter, but like it can start earlier in winter quarter if like you need more time for data collection or more time for analysis. It was just that like my team had a little bit of a later start because we had a lot of steps to go through before.
Mhm.
But so it does depend on the team, like when you're doing your data collection. And it is like a quick timeline, but we do expect you and your stakeholder to like plan through like what you'll have time to do, and like you can change your project scope, like you decide what in the beginning you want it to be, but like at any point if you need to adjust or take a new direction, then like that is okay too. But it is like a good technically like 20 weeks where you have time to review past research, like set up your project plan to do data collection and then do analysis, which for, most of the teams in the past, has been like a good amount of time for them to get through what they need to do.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mhm.
And I think just for clarification, the program does take place in winter and spring quarters. So essentially, you're like, if you apply, you'll be kind of committing yourself to those 2 quarters. Um, and I think something we also mentioned in the slides, if you weren't here for them, was that the deadlines for each project will kind of be like tailored to you, or like we've tailored it to keep in mind the type of project that is being conducted, in a way that like is, people can get stuff done without it being super like fast turnaround, if that makes sense. So I think we paced it pretty good. But yeah, any more questions? I'm sorry, I have one more question.
No, go for it.
Do you guys have any tips for when writing the application and answering the questions?
I can answer this one. My biggest tip is just be authentically you and show interest, like kind of like show interest in sustainability that is related to yourself. We're looking for people who are really interested and passionate about sustainability, or just like interested in learning more. You don't need to like have a baseline knowledge, but just like showing that interest in the most authentic way is the best way to apply, I'd say.
Yeah. And I think also like it's important to note we don't expect you to have research experience. Like I didn't have research experience going into this last year. But like applying the knowledge that you've gained from like other experiences, whether that's other clubs, leadership positions, like jobs you've had, just showing that you can apply those skills and knowledge to what you expect in SAR and research.
Yeah, I'll also plug real quick. Um, Apply for co-lead. I know it's really intimidating, but I want everyone to know that I was a second year who had literally just switched my major, who was like super nervous, and I was a co-lead, and it was one of like the best opportunities I faced like at UCLA to grow my own knowledge, my skills, like literally everything. So I really suggest applying for co-lead. Remember, if you apply for co-lead, you're automatically like looked at as a member. So not guaranteed that you'll be entered into SAR as a member, but you'll get 2 looks. And I think that's even better than one. You'll also get an interview most likely. So you'll have some face-to-face time with us as well. So highly suggest applying for co-lead if you are at all thinking about it. Yeah.
Yes, fully agree with that. I say just go for it. Like to me, like it shows like that you're excited and passionate, and that's like something we're definitely looking for.
Yeah. Um, how do you think that being part of this kind of helped you decide what you wanted to do for your career or like what you want to do after graduation?
Um,
You know
I think
what? This is kind of scary for me.
yeah,
Okay,
but do you want to answer or I can
no,
also
you can
answer?
go, Sam. I'll leave
Because
my 2 cents for later.
we can all answer low key because all of us have different experiences. I would say that it pushed me to realize that there were more opportunities out there than I originally thought there were, and that my own, like, I could do more things than I thought I could. I was scared of anything with public speaking or relations with people. And like through this, I realized not only was I pretty good at it, but also like I could do it as a career. Also, we will have some panels, so we'll have some stakeholder panels and SAR alumni panels that will give you like more insight on like career options. If you are like thinking about research, consulting, and anything in the environmental space, this kind of gives you a good baseline knowledge of kind of like all the areas you can kind of go into and like some of the basic skills you'll need at entry level positions.
Um, so I'm actually a fourth year, so I am gonna graduate and so scary, like thinking about like your career and like what you want to do. And I still like honestly, like I still don't know what I want to do. But it was interesting because I joined SAR my second year, and at that time, like I was also in the middle of changing my major. I was like not even like in the sustainability or like my major is geography, environmental studies. So I wasn't like in the environmental circle or anything at all. Like I was at that time a Chicana, um, Central American Studies major, which is like totally like different spaces. But I was always like really, really interested in sustainability and the environment, which is kind of why I wanted to join SAR and like join this space. And it was my first like step into that. Obviously, like now, like when I changed my major and like I really decided what I wanted, I think it really solidified. Well, I was in the native plant nursery team, so it really solidified that I did want to do something in conservation, or like sustain like environment, the environment. So ultimately, like it also like kind of helped me declare my major and like really be like, okay, like this is something that I want to do. Um, and then from there, like I got involved with a lot of like other little hubs of sustainability, different sectors, of course, like transportation, conservation. But that all came through like SAR and like kind of like the connections that I made through there because I met a lot of people in those spaces. So I think it definitely like broadened your horizon as well as like it doesn't necessarily have to define like the career path that you're going to take, but it does give you like that door to kind of explore different areas that maybe you might have not known about. Because we do get a lot of like people from different majors, different backgrounds, different years, join SAR. So I think it's a really good mix of people, and it really like help like how like I said helps you broaden your horizons. So that's a little bit my story in SAR. Grace, do you want to add on to anything?
I mean, I think you guys have hit the main points. I also have like no idea what I want to do after graduating. But for me, SAR helped me like understand how sustainability works on like a large institutional scale, which I feel like is a very valuable skill for like going into the workforce, is like understanding like how things like this work. Also, like you get really good connections through SAR. Like you'll have your stakeholder as like a letter of recommendation when you're applying for other internships, or like as we mentioned, like some stakeholders help their team members and leads like find internships like in their departments after. Like you really can build like a strong network with really good connections out of SAR. So like even if you're like, man, don't know what you want to do, you can use this as like a stepping stone, kind of like Melissa and Sam are both talking about, like to figure out specifically maybe like, other paths you might want to take like after this.
Thank you guys for your input.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good question.
Yep. Any last lingering questions?
And again, at any point, like if you have questions, like feel free to like email us, send us a DM on Instagram. Like we are happy to answer any questions.
Yes. Again, if you have any other questions, here's like all our contact info. You can email us, you can DM us, like literally, like, yeah. But there's also information on our website, which is listed at the bottom. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it'll be like the IOES website. And then on our Instagram, you can also just like use the link in our bio to find the application. But this flyer is also on our Instagram. You just like scan the QR code if that's easier for you. And it should have the member application, leader application, and a rundown of each of the roles. But if that is all, then I think we can end it here. Thank you guys for coming out so much. Like, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was nice meeting y'all. Hope to see your application.
Yes.
Thank you.
Submit. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you.